Good afternoon. Rich Nass, Executive Vice President of Open Systems Media, and I'm here with Ray Zinn for our weekly chat on whatever happens to be timely. Hello, Ray.
Hi, Rich. Good to be with you again today.
Well, thank you very much. As you know, Ray is the former CEO of Micrel. He's an author, and he also has his own podcast now, and I'll give you the link to that podcast in case you're interested. It's called toughThingsFirst.com. And then in there you'll see a list of all the podcasts that he's done, and they're very interesting, so I suggest you check them out. So what we want to talk about today is something that's sort of in the media with the presidential election coming on. One of the candidates is touting free college education. Now, that's something that you get in other countries. You certainly don't get it here. I have 3 kids that I put through college, and it was pretty costly. And I would like to ask Ray what his view is on, A, should we be providing a free college education? And if so, how the heck do we pay for that? You know, is that something we put on the backs of all the taxpayers? So what do you think, Ray? Should we be offering free college to every high school graduate?
Well, thanks, Rich. I think it's a very important subject. So as you pointed out, one of the candidates is proposing free college. And as you also pointed out, many of the countries offer that. I don't think it should be absolutely free. I think it should be less expensive, freer, as you would, and maybe free in some localities and under certain circumstances. But certainly I don't think giving somebody something for free is really the right way to go. We all should pay something and pay based on our ability to pay, as you would. So that's my just a 1,000-foot view of that subject.
So you're saying that it should be what you can afford to pay. Is that what I'm hearing?
Correct. In other words, based on your ability to, what you can afford to pay. There's a lot of scholarships available. My wife and I have 3 scholarships that we currently fund at 3 different universities, and the kids that are eligible for that scholarship, first of all, they have to be a business or engineering major, and then second is they just have to have passing grades, or they would be able to stay in school. So there's no GPA requirement for them, and they also have to. The qualification is quite interesting. They can't have access to any other scholarship. In other words, they've been turned down by other scholarships before they can apply for ours. So, but we have a nice scholarship fund. It's a perpetual fund to help these kids. So that's what my wife and I do currently on 3 different universities.
Well, it's a great cause. Okay, so now the situation that we're in at the present time, there are some really good universities that are very expensive, and those are out of reach to a lot of people. Whereas there are state universities that are much more affordable, and people who just don't have the finances to go to these expensive schools end up going to the state schools. Is that fair? I mean, are we making this class gap where the wealthy get the better education?
Well, unfortunately, as we both know, man is not necessarily created equal. So there are people who are going to be able to afford to have more, and the more expensive schools are going to, of course, attract those who can afford to pay. I think the state schools and the other less expensive universities will pick up the slack because that's really what their role is. And there's a huge difference between what an average university would charge versus the high end, as you would, like Stanford or Harvard or some of those. And certainly there should be a difference in price. Otherwise, what's going to happen is everybody's going to want to go to those more expensive schools, and they'll either have to turn them away, or they're going to. In other words, if we provided them for free, then those bigger schools, more expensive ones, we'll have to turn them away anyway. So they're not going to be able to take everyone, and they'll probably do some other way to differentiate, like you have to have a 4.000 grade point average to get in. So they'll figure out something.
Okay. Now the next question, there's this idea that some people are just wasting their money on college, and they could actually learn much better with a few months of on-the-job training. I know that there's one guy in particular, one of the Apple founders, he doesn't believe in college at all. He thinks a double E can learn on the job in 6-9 months everything that he needs to know. What do you think about that? Is college a waste of money for most people?
I don't think so. I think college is extremely important. It prepares us. There's a social aspect of it too that helps, and so these kids have to learn how to apply themselves, and that's one of the advantages of a higher education. So I'm all in favor of higher education. I don't agree that on-the-job training is the best way to go. I know that certain companies, the first cut is, do you have a college education? If you don't, they don't even look at your resume. So it's almost like an entry point for most of these better companies is that you have to have a college education. There's nothing to take away from those technical schools because they also provide a good training too. So that's the way I see it anyway. The technical schools are good and should be continued as a part of the educational system.
Okay. Do you think the education system in the U.S. is on par with other parts of the world?
Absolutely, because we see a lot of these foreign students coming to the U.S. to get their education. And I've talked to several. I had a lot of them working for me, and they said absolutely they want to get into the U.S. schools. Number one, it helps them find a job because the companies in the U.S. prefer employees with U.S. degrees.
Okay, fair enough. It's a great topic, and we could probably go on about this, but I'm afraid our time is up for this week.
How do you fund it?
Well, yeah, that's a good point. What was the answer to that, or what is the answer to that?
Well, I thought long and hard about this because that's one of the things, having supported supporting three scholarship programs. If the government would offer a tax credit for those people who will donate to the schools, just like you would an R&D tax credit for a company, they would encourage people who have the means then to actually donate more money to these universities. I would be more in favor of it if I could get a one-to-one tax credit for donating to these schools without a limit, without a cap of 30% or something. In other words, if they gave us, tax credit for whatever amount we wanted to donate.
Would you happen to know what that limit is today?
It's 30%. That's the most you can donate. Now you can at least to make it tax deductible anyway. You can donate whatever you want, but to make it tax deductible, all contributions have to be less than 30% of your annual income. So.
Okay, 30% of your annual income. Okay.
Right. So, but that's to get as a tax credit. But if you could, for example, if you could donate your entire income, and many people, because they have enough to live on anyway, that they could donate their income for the entire income for the year to an educational system, that would help support those schools if the government would give us a tax credit on it.
Okay. Well, having put my 3 through college, I feel like I was donating my entire income to higher education.
You were.
I don't know if donate's the right word.
But you didn't get a tax credit for it.
I did not get a tax credit for it.
So that's what I see. If we did offer a tax credit, that would then encourage people who had the means to donate more money to education.
So would somebody really be donating more than 30% of their income?
Oh yeah, I mean I know people who would donate 100% if the government would give them a tax credit for it.
Okay.
And they don't need that to live on. I don't need
I guess
to live on.
It depends how you define your income. People have income through various means.
Well, income meaning like dividends or stock appreciation, whatever. You could, if you have enough to live on, and I do. I don't need the income that I get off my investments to live. So,
right.
If I were offered a tax credit, I could do that.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you. This was very enlightening for me.
Well, thank you.
That was Ray Zinn. He is the former CEO of Micrel. He is the, I don't know if author is the right word. He produces a weekly podcast that's under Tough Things First, so you find it there. And he's the author of a great book that's under the same name, Tough Things First. Have a great week, Ray.
Thanks a lot, Rich. I really appreciate this time.